For under £100, there aren't many chronograph watches worth buying. Sure, there are plenty of bizarre, drop-shipped pieces of garbage. But what's the point in wasting money on something that will probably fall apart in a few months? Well, what if I told you for under £100 you can grab a classic looking chronograph from a respected brand with solid build quality and performance? Surprisingly, it's true, and it's right here on my wrist. This is the Seiko SNDC31P1, and here's a quick summary of why it might be worth your consideration. The watch arrived in this double-layered box, which is far more substantial than I expected for such a budget piece. I remember the supposedly luxury Vincero watch that I reviewed came in much cheaper packaging, making this Seiko opening feel much more premium in comparison. Nevertheless, the packaging isn't going to be sitting on your wrist all day, so what's inside? Well, we have a watch with a case size of 40.2mm, a thickness of just 10.1, and a lug-to-lug of exactly 46mm. The watch may look a fraction big on my 6.25-inch wrist, but I think it's still just about wearable. Fortunately, that short lug-to-lug length ensures it doesn't surpass the edges of my wrist. The most striking part of this SNDC31 has to be that vintage-inspired dial, from the italic serif numbers to the cream colorway and raised minute track. When each piece is drawn together, you're left with a timelessly classy dial which is easy to pull off with a variety of outfits. It looks smart enough to wear with a suit, or you can easily pull it off with a polo and some shorts, especially with a stock brown croc strap. This look isn't going to be for everyone. It's the antithesis of many of the current minimalist trends and to some extent not a great fit for my wardrobe. However, I think it does provide a well-executed vintage aesthetic that should have a wide-reaching appeal. They also do a black variant of this, which I believe is called the SNDC33. I think that one looks even better, it just wasn't available at the time of this review. Hopefully by the time this video gets published, they'll both be available and I'll link them in the description. There are a couple of other interesting touches, such as the applied Seiko logo and the engraved rings around each subdial. Other than that, the rest of the dial is printed and a bit flat for my preference. I think some raised or embossed markers on the chapter ring would make the watch look higher quality. Despite this, I like the fact that the smaller integers appear in the same font style as the larger numbers, which provides some additional consistency that keeps the look on theme. Under colder tones of light, such as the studio lights I use, you can see there is a slight variance in tone between the flat and raised sections, though in most environments this difference simply isn't visible. A polished finish adorns the majority of the stainless steel case. While the finishing isn't the most precise and could be better, I do like the overall shape and look, especially from above. Perhaps the lack of any brushed sections is a bit of a missed opportunity considering the sides feature long, slim sections that would perfectly accommodate it. Nevertheless, it's just as good as most of the competition at this price point, and the use of steel is better than the plated brass used in rivals such as many Timex chronographs that hover at a similar retail cost. This pairs nicely with the surprisingly high water resistance, which is 100 meters. There's no screw down crown or pushes on this model, but those in place are very responsive, and I particularly like the distinct clunk provided by the pushes when engaged. Either way, the aquatic performance will have you covered for any everyday situation really, and could even handle light swimming without a hitch. For this style of watch, that's rather unexpected and nice to see. Across the dial, there's a piece of beveled, flat mineral crystal which protrudes slightly from the case, but I think looks quite attractive. This is the standard stuff at this price point, but it's nothing special. It will give you some limited scratch resistance, but won't perform quite as well as Sapphire. As is typical of sub £300 chronographs, this one utilises a quartz movement, providing you with the typical timekeeping functions. This caliber 7292 is pretty well aligned, sitting only a fraction to the left of centre, and is easily slim enough to maintain a thin case depth. You can expect an accuracy of plus minus 15 seconds a month, and you get a day complication at 3 o'clock with a white window that integrates reasonably well with a cream dial. I've been pleased with this unit as the tick of the chronograph hand is firm and lacks flinch when activated. To round out the components, we have the strap. As you can see, this is a dark brown, almost oxblood croc-style calf skin, which is of completely wearable quality. It's surprisingly supple and features a branded Seiko buckle, which is a nice touch, and ultimately, this should last a long time. Visually, it works well, but I think this watch could handle a variety of other leather options, though I'm not sure this look would particularly suit any style of like NATO or fabric strap. If you wanted to switch this one out, it doesn't feature quick release tabs, so you would need a tool. Nevertheless, the indentations towards the base of the watch would make some thicker alternatives viable as well. In terms of raw value, you probably can get more from some of the Chinese AliExpress specials, a couple of which I've featured before on this channel. Nevertheless, I think this is quite tastefully done and comes with a level of water resistance that many of the competition can't compete with. It's likely one of the best options on the market unless you're prepared to jump to that £200 plus price bracket, where the selection becomes quite a lot greater. At the time of recording, this is hovering at a penny under £100 on Amazon, which I think is a fair price, though not outstanding value. Thanks to them for providing this watch free of charge so that I can make this review. It's linked below if it ticks your boxes. In the last review, we took a look at the divisive Casio A1000 series of steel digital watches. From your votes, here's where that went on the wall. What are your thoughts on this Seiko chronograph? Is this watch
for losers? Seiko is for losers.
Uncool, cool, or ice cold? Whack your vote down in the comments section, subscribe for more watch videos, and I'll see you next time.